Closer, the president-elect Bola Tinubu has returned to Nigeria after over 4 weeks in Europe. On the interview segment for today, we focus on the incoming 10th National Assembly as more senators join the race for Senate presidency, with the former senior special assistant on diaspora affairs to former governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Femi Odere, as our guest. Welcome to Politics Tonight. Stay with us. We will be right back. Thank you for staying with us. The president-elect Bola Tinubu has returned to Nigeria after over 4 weeks in Europe. His aircraft touched down at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja at about 4:30 p.m. this Monday. The president-elect, who traveled out of the country since the 21st of March, returned to the country to take charge of proceedings and give direction ahead of the May 29 inauguration. The former Lagos governor returned with his wife, who were received by the Vice President-elect, Kashim Shettima, Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong, and other high-ranking members of the ruling party. This is as the National Working Committee of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC prepares to meet with the President-elect to take a position on the zoning of the National Assembly leadership. The trip, according to the office of the President-elect, was to enable him rest and plan for transition program ahead of his inauguration as the 16th president of Nigeria. Before the arrival of the president-elect, TVC News correspondent spoke with some APC members on what Nigeria should expect after the May 29 inauguration. Take a listen.
Give me a welcome support, because for him to accept to contest as a president is a welcome development in our party APC. Winning is another thing, a step forward, 10 times, 100 times, that this is the person we want in this country, who can change so many things in this country. The man who is going to rebuild our hope, and our hope is on him. We are hoping that by the time he will be showing on 29th of May, things, a lot of the things are going to change. Youth will be happy, and even Nigeria will be happy. This is the man we'll be waiting for. That's why we are here, to give you a welcome support, to say this is the man we wanted in this country. He's the man we've been waiting for, and that's why we are here.
And for the party, it's a new dawn. It's a new dawn for the party. It's a new dawn for Nigeria. And also, if you remember, this is the era for renewed hope. Now, he's a man, a president who has an action plan, a president who is actually ready, a president-elect who will be sworn in, inshallah, on the 29th of May 2023 as the executive president, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And what we're saying is we have a man who's been prepared for over 30 years. We have a man who has a plan to take action. And we have a man who is ready to actually hit the ground running from day one. And we're quite glad. You can see the number of people here today. This is just probably a very small number of people compared to those who are waiting for him at the Unity Fountain, and also all over Nigeria. Nigerians, and let's also remember, actually gave him that mandate freely in a credible and also an election that was actually free. And Nigerians just can't wait to have him as the president, being sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the president-elect Bola Tinubu has urged the supporters who stormed his Asokoro residence to welcome him after his return to the country to be calm and peaceful. Tinubu urged them to go back home to enable him rest, as he has a long day beginning from Tuesday. Also present at his Abuja residence was the former governor of Borno State, Alimodu Sharif, who spoke about expectations of Nigerians for the incoming administration. 7 senators and some party chieftains were also present to welcome the president-elect.
That is very, very important. Don't isolate one date. No one date on the calendar doesn't mean anything. It's just an event.
The people are already talking about your administration and what it will look like. Can you give us a glimpse into what you have in plan?
I can't. I've not consulted people yet. And administration, you said, is not run alone. You don't govern alone. You govern with people. You consult. Assemble. And then hit the ground running. And it's the same country, right? Isn't it? So,
thank you very much.
Yeah, okay.
What is important is that when you have a head that is correct, everybody will fall in line. If you don't get the right head,
So we are all ready to follow.
yes.
I agree. The expectation is high.
Very high.
And
They want you to replicate what you did in Lagos. Develop Nigeria, that's what they want.
I believe we can.
Yes.
We can win the war without losing the battle. Nigeria is for all of us. Now we have to build it, construct it, reform.
Reconstruct it.
All right, let's take a short break, and when we return, it will be time to speak with our guest of the day, who is the former Senior Special Assistant on Diaspora Affairs to former Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Femi Odere, to discuss the incoming 10th National Assembly, the race for Senate presidency. Please stay with us.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. Now, as soon as the National Assembly elections concluded, the race for the Senate presidency began in earnest. And in Nigeria, as you know, politicians do not leave anything to chance, as more senators have now joined the race for who becomes the next Senate president of the 10th National Assembly. Now, joining me to discuss this tonight is the former Senior Special Assistant on Diaspora Affairs to former Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Femi Odere, for discussion on the 10th National Assembly. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, sir.
Thanks, Jumoke, for having me.
Now, let's begin with Party National Assembly, the spread of seats among political parties, which is the highest in Nigerian history. How will you describe it?
Well, it's a good thing that we are having a sort of a multiplicity of political parties that participated in the general election, almost for the first time since 1999, when the Fourth Republic, started. It used to be a sort of a dual kind of a political arrangement. What do I mean by that? The APC on one hand and the PDP on another hand. But now we have more political parties actually having representation in the National Assembly. So it's a good thing. And it is going to be very interesting how things shape out at the end of the day.
All right, but many analysts say this spread will make the 10th National Assembly rancorous. Do you?
I don't think so. And the reason why I don't believe it's going to make it rancorous, when you talk about the House of Representatives, the House of Representatives in representative democracy all over the world are usually rancorous anyway. It really doesn't matter how many political parties are in the National Assembly. By its very nature, the House of Representatives is more likely to be rancorous. But this time around, I think it's probably less going to be rancorous for the simple fact that the stakes are very high. And the country is in need of leadership. The country is in need of serious legislation. And so people are expecting, I'm talking about the legislators now, they are expected to buckle up. And so the rancor is going to be minimized because of the things that they need to deal with when the 10th National Assembly sets in.
When you say multiplicity, you mean the more the merrier. But does this apply to Nigerian politicians?
Well, I hope so. Because as I said, there are some too who are actually going to be there, not necessarily to add important value to legislation. And, quite frankly, there are some people that probably didn't even expect to have won their election, but they won anyway. So when it comes to how adequate some of them may have prepared for this new task, then you may find some of them wanting. But and I'll still repeat that because of the fact that the stakes are high, and because of the fact that the president-elect is a man of action, and because of the fact that the president-elect knows exactly what he wants to do, and he's probably more likely going to tell the legislators that these are my programs, and these are my agendas, and these are the policy directions that I want to go. So therefore, people are more likely to sit up.
All right, so, yes, the race has started and it's heated up, but then some persons have said, well, this is too early, while others have said, well, it does not even matter. No,
it's not too early. Okay. It's not too early at all. In fact, the earlier we have these next branch of government, which is the legislature, the earlier we have the leadership in place, I think the better it's going to be for not only the incoming government, but also for Nigerians as a whole. So it's really not too late. And I think the earlier the better. It won't be surprising. I mean, not even be surprised if that would not be one of the major reasons that the president-elect had to come back, from his vacation in France, so that he can oversee all these leadership positions and different people jockeying for different leadership positions. So it's not too early at all.
All right. So we have more persons, more senators, jostling for this position, more persons coming in to join. But then the APC leadership is yet to zone the positions. Don't you think the delay is unnecessary?
Well, again, I don't see it more as a delay. Okay. Because things need to be thought out. I'm talking about on the part of the party. Recall that about a week ago or thereabout, the progressive governors actually issued a statement advising the president-elect to consider the Senate presidency to go to either the southeast or the south-south, and to some extent to the northwest. So they have made that suggestion. They're just saying that this is an advice, for PAFEM to actually do something about. So it may not have been officially announced yet by the party as to where exactly the Senate president is going to be zoned to, but there's a conventional wisdom, and the school of thought now is that more likely the Senate presidency is going to come either from the southeast or from the south-south.
Oh yeah, so you've said the party representation at the National Assembly is good for us as a country, but then talking about more senators who have now joined the race for the Senate presidency, and how would you describe the high number of contestants for this position?
Well, the high number is really not, to me, it's not because people want to be relevant. Politicians are always looking for relevance. And we can say that some are pretenders and while some are actually serious. So I will wager that among these people that has made their intentions known to actually vie for the Senate presidency, maybe some of them are actually not necessarily be looking for the position per se, but using that as a leverage, if you will, to actually negotiate for lesser positions. That's the way I look at it. Well, take for instance, you have a name of the President, Senate President, who is said to be in the running, to want to come back. That is not possible. You have one Barau Jibrin from the Northwest, specifically from Kano, who wants to be the next Senate President. That is not really possible. And you have others like that who are from the northern geopolitical region who wants to be the next Senate President. That is not really feasible, and it should not be feasible. So that's exactly what I mean. So these people actually from the north wanting to be the next Senate President might be using that to negotiate for other things. And because, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, the senators-elect from the northern region should actually recuse themselves from being the next Senate President of the Nigerian Federation.
All right. So about former governors who have now joined the race for the Senate presidency. Is this an advantage or a disadvantage, especially for our democracy, and do they actually have an advantage?
You mean the former governor? What do you mean by the former governor?
Former governors who are now in the Senate. Okay.
Well, you mean for actually going to the Senate, you mean?
Who are jostling to become Senate presidents?
Oh, it is an advantage because don't let us forget the fact that in any evolution, in any work environment, experience counts. And for somebody who has been a governor, not only for one term, but 2 terms, that's an enormous amount of experience. And also do remember that the president-elect said that when people were kind of giving him some kind of an admonition, that he should look in the direction of a government of national unity. And I'm like, that is of national unity, because we are not emerging from any war or any social, political upheaval of any sort. So there should not be any call for government of national unity. And in any case, that government of national unity has been taken care of by the Constitution anyway, because at least a minister must come from all the states. So that has already been taken care of. And when the president-elect had to answer, he said rather than looking at the government of national unity, his is going to be the government of national competence. And I agree with that. So meaning that competence also presupposes that there is experience, because you cannot be competent without having the requisite experience. So it is a good thing, as far as I'm concerned, that the former governors who had actually done very well in their respective states and now at the National Assembly, specifically at the Senate, should actually vie for those positions. And like I said, it's a good thing, and it should be welcomed.
All right, so because you've talked about experience, and that would lead me to my next questions. You know, people have said, yes, these former governors may not be ranking senators, but as former governors, they will play very active roles in determining who become presiding officers.
Well, don't forget the fact that there are standing rules. I don't think you mentioned that. You cannot be the next Senate president without a ranking position, meaning that you must have at least spent 1 term in the Senate. And there are governors from the southeast and from the south-south that have done that. For instance, Governor Godswill Akpabio is from the south-south. He was a 2-term governor. And not only that, he was a leader as a first-timer in the Senate when he was in the PDP. Yeah. And also he was a minister of NDDC. So the track record is really, really there. And without even trying to even get into all of that, when it comes to who should, when it comes to the geopolitical region that the Senate presidency should come from, either from the South-South or from the Southeast, I would say it should come from the South-South.
All right, so we're going to get there actually, but then, the Southeast zone says this is the time. Is this really the time?
For the Southeast, no, it's not really the time. More so when you take into account how much contribution each geopolitical region made to the victory of the president-elect. And they say politics is about who gets what, when, and how much. So within that statement is the fact that if you are going to get anything, then you must have been seen, or you must have actually contributed significantly to the emergence of the chief executive. And so if we have to discuss that, we'll say that in comparison between the Southeast and the South-South, who contributed the most to the emergence of the president-elect? There's no question about that. It is the South-South.
But the South is talking about fairness and, talking about fairness.
I don't even know why the South is advancing the word fairness, because maybe they don't even know the real meaning of fairness. Because if they are talking about fairness, not even want to be considered for the president, for the Senate president. Why? Because since 1999 that we started this political dispensation, the Southeast has had 5 Senate presidents. And there are 5 states in the Southeast. You can pretty much say that just about all in fact, virtually all the Southeast states had produced at one time or the other Senate presidents. Whereas the South-South, which is actually the resource base of the country, has never produced the Senate president even for one day. So where is the fairness? Who should be talking about fairness now? Is it the Southeast that should be talking about the Senate president? Even for them to even be talking about fairness, because it doesn't apply to them at all.
All right, so aside that, now if you look at the senators elected from the Southeast, would you say they have the number to produce the next Senate president?
You mean for the party?
Yes.
No, not quite, because if I could recall, I think you need about 81 senators for the ruling party, that is, to produce the Senate president. And if I'm not mistaken, I think APC, our party, has about maybe 69, 70 or thereabout. So it's about maybe 10, 11, 12 thirds short of producing in their own volition a deal. And if you have to ask me, I would say it's better they make a deal with NNPP, because NNPP has about maybe 27 senators, than PDP or the Labour Party, because Kwakwanso, as far as I can read him, is kind of a liberal. So he's pretty much conservative on one side, but he's generally a liberal politician that actually the party can make a deal with.
All right, so some analysts are also making it, just like you, some analysts are making a case for the South-South to produce the next Senate president. Now, aside, you have said that South-South has never produced a Senate president. Aside from that, what other reasons?
What other reason? I just showed you about the geopolitical region's contribution to this election of us. President-elect. That is very significant. Remember, aside from that APC won, all other states in the South-South, the president-elect actually came second. So the requirement, the 25% requirement that the president-elect must have in all the spread actually was made easier for him by the South-South. And so that's one consideration. And another thing is that, you know, one of the reasons why I get excited about this issue of who should produce the next president is that we're looking at the issue of morality here. And I want to also start speaking to the party, those of us who are becoming to be imagined, that the party should begin to do the right thing. And because how will it feel if a geopolitical region donated a significant amount of votes for you that actually made it easier for your party to win, and at the end of the day, they walk away with nothing? It doesn't give incentive for anybody to want to work hard anymore. And we should actually begin to look even beyond 2023. Now we should actually begin to look at 2027. So among the two geopolitical regions now, who's more likely to be in the corner of APC even come 2027? Quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, it is going to be the South-South because they have demonstrated that they can be loyal. They have demonstrated that they can give your vote in bulk to the APC. So why would you even want to even throw that away? That it doesn't matter. Whereas the Southeast has demonstrated, regardless of the things that anybody might have done, the Southeast have never, and is actually, I can't even begin to analyze it, because take, for instance, in Abia State Senatorial District, where Orji Uzor comes from. Orji Uzor now is also in the running for the Senate President. Orji Uzor garnered about in excess of 40,000 votes from his own senatorial district alone, whereas in the same senatorial district, the president-elect was only given about 6,000 votes. Can you imagine that? So people will have to, what happened in this? Was the deal made that Orji Uzor told his people that, look, vote for me, let me just win this election, but whatever happens to the Senate President, I don't care, and all of that. So you begin to look at all of that. In the entire Southeast, the president-elect did not even get up to 10% of the votes from the Southeast, whereas the South-South was, whereas the South-South actually gave the president-elect 25% in all the states. So there's really no contest as far as I'm concerned. And again, like I said, fairness, facts, and the issue of morality should be considered.
All right, so, you know, this is about the Southeast, but then we also have senators from the Northwest Zone who have shown interest in the Senate presidency.
Sure. As I said, any senator-elect from the northern region who wants to become the Senate president in the 10th National Assembly actually doesn't love Nigeria. That's the way I look at it. Because if they love Nigeria, they should not even be in the contention at all. Because we know what happened with the lopsidedness of appointment in the current Buhari administration. So why would they even want to in the Nigerian parlance, heat up the polity, you know, by wanting to be the Senate president again? No, it doesn't add up. That's why I said they shouldn't even be done. And they probably know that. And like I said earlier, they probably just throw their names out there in order to negotiate for something lesser. That's the way I look at it.
So, Mr. Odere, having analyzed all this, and of course we've talked about these several zones, what do you think the APC needs to do to ensure this contest does not further divide the party, especially if some members defy the zoning arrangement of the party to contest for the Senate presidency?
Well, I think the APC, our party, actually, and the party should actually issue a joint a statement very soon as to the preference, the specific, not only the specific geopolitical zone among the two southern, among the the 2,000 states, but they should also give a sort of a direction to the senators elect that this is a particular candidate that we want you to actually support. Because if that is not taken care of,
a particular candidate or the zone.
Well, I would say first and foremost a zone, and as I said, based on the things that I've just said in terms of my analysis and all of that, it should necessarily go to the south-south. But then they also should pinpoint from that particular zone their preference. And they may not necessarily have to tell the members of the public that, okay, we want Akpabio to be the next Senate President. But at least they can send the signal to the senators and the party that they're willing or they are ready to make a deal with, that this is our candidate and this is who we want you to vote for.
All right, you know, I asked this question because many are already foreseen a repeat of the 2015 contest where Bukola Saraki matched against the wish of the party. So you're saying that they are saying that if this does not happen as fast as you have advised, history might repeat itself.
Well, I don't see that repeating itself in the sense that we have a chief of state who is our president-elect that is radically different from the present chief of state. Chief of state is kind of aloof, doesn't really care that much wherever things go. Remember when he said, I'm for everybody and for nobody and all of that. You wonder, why would the president even say that, you know, and all of that. So this president-elect is not going to be that because he knows exactly what he wants to do and he knows exactly the people that he needs that will carry those tasks for him. So it's really not going to to be a replay, if you will, of the Saraki thing. But what is happening right now, as far as I'm concerned, all this minority parties saying that well, we can now take over the leadership and all of that. To me, it's nothing short of a sort of a juvenile. I don't want to. It's really nothing, you know, short of just people granting.
All right, so on the program tonight, we're taking a look at, we're discussing the incoming 10th National Assembly as more senators have now joined the race for Senate presidency. And of course, I have with me former senior special assistant on diaspora affairs to former Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Femi Odere. This discussion will continue after this break. Please do not go anywhere. Thank you for staying with us. We're discussing the incoming 10th National Assembly as more senators have joined the race for Senate presidency with the former senior special assistant on diaspora affairs to former Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Mr. Femi Odere. All right. So all former governors of both the APC and PDP have won their senatorial elections for the 10th Assembly. And of course, I'm going to be asking you now, do you think first-time lawmakers should be allowed to contest for principal positions, including the Senate President or House of Reps Speaker?
No, I don't think so. And it would be quite unfortunate because I read somewhere, but a couple of days ago, that the Senate might be considering changing its rules again. I hope they don't. Because if they do, that's actually going to be sending a very wrong signal. That they themselves are not even consistent. That they themselves don't even know what they want. Why would you change rules all over the place? Since that rule has been made, it should stay that way.
What if the rules had not worked over time?
Being a ranking member, there's no way it wouldn't have worked, because let's job of a Senate president, even though we can pretty much say that it's first among equal, like a class captain kind of a thing, but you need wisdom, you need competence, you need experience, you need you need a sort of positive rapport, for a lack of a better word, among your colleagues across the political parties to be able to manage them. So if the rule is changed and a rookie becomes the Senate president, for the first 2 years, he wouldn't know exactly what he wants to do anyway, and time is of the essence. So I wouldn't even advocate that, and it shouldn't even be a consideration, because as I said earlier, the stakes are very high. So the party cannot, and even the country itself cannot afford to have a rookie in any of the leadership positions, either in the National Assembly or even in the executive for that matter.
Well, so for the purpose of this discussion, let me ask you this. What is the difference between, presiding over the House of Assembly as against presiding over the Senate or the House of Representatives? What difference does it make?
Well, there are two chambers. We have the red chamber, which is the Senate, and then we have the green chamber, which is the House of Representatives. And even though they are mutually exclusive, if you will, but then they deal with legislation too that at the end of the day would have to become one by the accent of the chief executive, and that is the president. So they have their own. That is the Senate, and the House of Representatives also have their own track. So in the House of Representatives, of course, you have the Speaker of the House as well. And then if you want us to get into that, we can get into that. So it does make a difference because the two chambers have to produce their own leadership, both the presiding officers and then the principal officers as well, for the Senate and then for the House of Representatives.
Okay, so what I mean is someone who has been Speaker of the House of Assembly, I'm asking this question because you talked about a rookie. Yeah. Now, someone who has been Speaker House of Assembly, for instance.
House of Representatives.
All right. Yeah. Now, wins an election into the House of Reps. What stops him or her
from somebody who has been in the House of Assembly in his state. Okay.
Yeah, so what stops the person from becoming a Speaker?
Well, first of all, the rule. The rule, in every organization there are rules, and then you have to obey the rule. It's changed. You cannot just assume the speakership of the House of Representatives just because you happen to have been the Speaker of the House of Assembly in your state. And mind you, it is just your state that you are the Speaker of the House of Assembly, and we are talking about 36 states here. It's a different ball game entirely. Right. So the fact that you are a Speaker of the House of Assembly in your state doesn't necessarily give you the requisite experience. Of course, it might give you a sort of a little bit of experience in terms of the nitty-gritty of legislation, but you have a bigger house now. Right. So that's what the difference makes.
So, in the incoming Senate, APC won 60 seats, PDP 32. Is this enough for the APC to take control of the upper chamber?
No, it's not. Like I said, the APC with some political parties. Which political parties is going to make a deal with is really up to the leadership. I just suggested that if I am to be in the APC, I will look in the direction of the NNPP to make a deal with. Rather than the LP or the PDP, because the MPP, the president candidate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, to me is sort of a liberally minded politician that can play ball. So that would be my first consideration in terms of making a deal.
All right. No, we've spent enough time talking about the Senate. Now let's move to the House of Reps. How will you describe the race for the House of Reps speakership? And of course, we have the likes of Wase, Gadi, Doguwa, who are leading the race for Reps speakership. What can you say about these individuals?
Well, I really can't say much about them because I have not really had any one-on-one interaction with any one of them. As an observer of political development, and as a watcher of politics, I would say that as far as who gets to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives, they should simply let it go to Idris Wase, the current Deputy Speaker. And you see, when I'm sure you've heard of the refrain that Nigeria is very complex and all of that. And to me, Nigeria is really not really complex. Nigeria feels complex, it tastes complex, simply because we tend not to always want to do the right thing. When politicians, when leaders do the right thing, things are going to fall into place. So, in my own view, as far as the Speaker of the House of Representatives is concerned, it should simply go to Idris Wase. And why? Because Idris Wase actually was one of the major candidates in 2019 that stepped down for our current Speaker, Gbajabiamila. So fairness should be reciprocal here. Like I said, although we can say that it was not written, but if you already made a deal, if you made a deal with somebody, and the reason for you to have made a deal is because if you haven't made that deal with that person, you wouldn't have gotten to where you got into.
A deal has been made with him?
Oh yeah, a deal was made with him. That was the reason why he stepped down. Anyway, so for him, unless he's saying that he's not interested, but since we all know now that he has put his own heart in the ring, that means he's interested, and he has gathered enough experience anyway as the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. I think he should that we can just avoid all this rancor, all this heating of the polity, all these people saying that Nigeria is so complex. It's not complex. It is when people refuse to do the right thing that we begin to experience this so-called complexity. Nigeria is not complex, but the ability to do the right thing is, to me, what I need to start preaching to. Because once you do the right thing, even if you are the agreed, people are not stupid. You will know that the right thing has been done. And you just say, you know what, it was fair enough, because the right thing was done. But if you now went overboard and give it to somebody who never participated in, let's say, for instance, in 2019, and then people will be saying that, then what's the essence? What's the essence? So when things like this begin to go on, then it hits all the polity. It doesn't allow things to move forward. It doesn't have the country to just basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. And that must actually stop. That must change, hopefully, in this incoming administration.
All right, so let's get back to one of your points, one of the points you made earlier. Now, President Buhari did not, initially show interest in the National Assembly leadership. Just like you also mentioned. Now, do you think the President-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should take such a stance too?
Of course, of course. And as I said, his coming this early may not be unconnected with trying to stabilize the National Assembly in terms of letting people know where he stands, letting people know where the party should be. And the earlier that is done, I think the better. Because, like I said, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He knows the reason why Nigerians gave him the mandate that he gave him, and he knows what politics is supposed to produce, how to achieve that. So it will be, in fact, it's even counterintuitive to even begin to say that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not going to be interested in who becomes either the Senate President or the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
All right. So, many Nigerians see the outgoing senator leaders as mere rubber stamp. Do you see the 10th National Assembly towing this line?
You see, in an ideal representative democracy, the National Assembly should necessarily play what I call adversarial role. Even if their party is in government, they should put the executive on his toe by asking questions, by wanting to do the right thing, and all of that. That is serial kind of cooperation. I don't know, that might be an oxymoron. There's nothing like adversarial cooperation, but let's just use that phrase as an adversarial cooperation. But then the other side of it is that rather than see the President National Assembly as a rubber stamp. I think the onus is on them too to assist the executives to pass legislation, to actually fast forward and pass its agendas and all of that. But the reason why I believe Nigerian tends to think that the present National Assembly is rubber stamp is that there is really no debate of any sort. There is no robust intellectual debate among members as to how things should be done. I mean, even if you are at the end sign on with what the president wants you to sign on to, that you still have to kind of put it on the ground, scatter it, and then put it back again, and take some things that you don't think is necessary and all of that. But again, it is to me a reflection of the quality of the politicians that we have, rather than anything.
All right. Because you said the spread of seats among political parties at the National Assembly is good for our democracy. Mm-hmm. And now with more political parties like Labour Party, NNPP, ADC, and others represented in the National Assembly, what do you think Nigerians should expect from the 10th National Assembly?
Well, Nigerians should expect robust legislation. And as I said, the stakes are very high. I'll keep repeating that. And it is only when you have robust legislation, and the president-elect too is going to demand from them robust legislation, because he has so many things that he wants to do. He has so many policies that he wants to implement, and most of these things cannot be done by executive order. It has to go through the National Assembly. And because of the intellectual disposition, if you will, of this incoming administration, because of the quality of people that are necessarily going to work with PAFAN, it is going to be a situation where this National Assembly will have to be on its toe to making sure that that quality, robust legislation and laws are passed in order for the country to move forward.
So another very interesting angle to this discussion is lawmakers elect from opposition parties have vowed to truncate the APC agenda since they have the majority in the House of Reps if they come together. Do you see this planned coup succeeding?
For one reason of the Midas touch of the president-elect, because of his political will and because of the fact that he has made men out of them, even though they are now in a different political party. I don't see them actually, because they have to remember their own soul. Okay. They have to remember the back. They have to remember what this man did for them at one point in time. So I don't see it being any rancorous. But some people may want to razzle-dazzle, grandstand, and all of that.
Because I was about to ask if politicians are really to be trusted.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, well, you can say that they are not really to be, but there are some that still has conscience.
All right. So, because of time, Mr. Odere, now it's just about a month and some days to the inauguration of a new Nigerian president. What are your expectations, and what key areas should be of primary concern to the president-elect to turn around Nigeria's fortunes? In 30 seconds, if you would.
That's actually a very tall order. Considering the fact that things have gone down unexpectedly the way we didn't expect it to have gone down. But I would say that the issue of insecurity should, by the 100 days, Nigerians should have seen a direction as to how the security is going to be nipped in the bud. If not, by that time, security should have been very much decimated, if you will. And then the economy. The economy is it's in tatters right now. We can actually begin to pretend about it. So that also would be a major concern of the president-elect, and job creation as well, because we have restive youth, and we have seen the experiences now. The NSAS people, and even these political elections that we are the electionary campaign that we just went through. So employment, economy, and insecurity, I would say, will be the priority of the president-elect, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Aderi. It's been an interesting conversation with you tonight. I've been speaking with the former Senior Special Assistant on Diaspora Affairs to former Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, as we take a look at the incoming 10th National Assembly as more senators join the race for Senate presidency. Thank you very much once again, sir.
Thanks for having me too, okay. Appreciate it.
And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight.